Martha Moxley was a 15-year-old girl who lived with her family in Belle Haven, an upscale neighborhood in Greenwich, Connecticut. She was known for her warm smile, her fun-loving spirit, and her popularity among friends. Martha's family had moved to Belle Haven from California the year before, and it didn't take long for Martha to become well-liked at her new school. She was the kind of girl who got along with everyone, always kind and welcoming to those around her. The neighborhood was known for its quiet, safe streets and large, beautiful homes. It seemed like the perfect place for a family to settle down, with a strong sense of community and many families who had lived there for years. It was a place where no one expected anything bad to happen, making the events of October 30th, 1975, all the more shocking. October 30th, 1975, was the night before Halloween, a time when many teenagers in the neighborhood were excited for the holiday. In Belle Haven, this night was called Mischief Night. It was a tradition where kids would play harmless pranks, like throwing toilet paper in trees or ringing doorbells and running away. Martha, like many teens in the neighborhood, was planning to go out that night to enjoy the fun. She spent the early evening at home, chatting with her mom, Dorothy Moxley. Dorothy later said that Martha seemed happy and was looking forward to going out. Martha left the house around 6:30 p.m. to meet up with friends in the neighborhood. She wasn't going far, just a few houses down the road to the Skokel family's home. The Skokel were well known in the area because they were part of a wealthy and influential family. The family was related to the Kennedys, which made them even more famous. Martha was particularly friendly with two of the Skokel brothers, Tommy, and Michael. Tommy, who was 17 years old, had caught Martha's attention, and it seemed like the two were becoming close. Michael, 15, was more of a friend to Martha, and they often hung out in the same group. That night, Martha spent time at the Skokel house, where a group of teens were watching TV, listening to music, and just hanging out like they usually did. At some point during the evening, the group started walking around the neighborhood, playing pranks and enjoying Mischief Night. Everything seemed normal, but something would soon go wrong. By the time it got late, Martha hadn't come home. Her mother, Dorothy, wasn't too worried at first. She knew her daughter was responsible and trusted that she would return soon. But when midnight passed and there was still no sign of Martha, Dorothy began to worry. She stayed up waiting for her daughter, thinking maybe she was just out a little later than usual. But as the night stretched on, Dorothy's worry turned into panic. The next morning, October 31st, Martha still hadn't returned. Her mother called her friends to see if anyone had heard from her, but no one had. A feeling of dread began to sink in. Dorothy reported Martha missing, and soon the search for the young girl began. Neighbors and police started looking around the neighborhood, hoping to find Martha, or at least get some clue as to where she could be. Later that day, on Halloween morning, Martha's body was found in the yard of her own home. It was hidden under a tree near the driveway, not far from the Skokel house where she had spent the evening. The discovery shook the entire community. Belle Haven was supposed to be a safe, quiet place, and no one could understand how something so tragic could happen in their peaceful neighborhood. The police immediately began an investigation, trying to piece together what had happened the night before. One of the first things they noticed was a broken golf club near where Martha's body was found. This golf club became an important clue. The club was traced back to the Skokel family, as it was part of a set owned by them. This raised suspicions about who might have been involved. As the police continued their investigation, the focus quickly shifted to the Skokel brothers, Tommy and Michael, because Martha had been with them on the night she disappeared. Tommy, in particular, came under scrutiny. Witnesses said that Martha had been seen flirting with Tommy that night, and some even said they saw the two together around 9:30 p.m., just before she disappeared. Tommy claimed that after hanging out with Martha, he went inside his house to do homework. However, his story raised questions, and many people believe there was more to it. Michael, the younger brother, also gave conflicting statements about what he was doing that night. At first, he said he had gone to a cousin's house to watch TV, but later he told police that he had climbed a tree outside Martha's house and thrown rocks at her window. This strange behavior only made him seem more suspicious. Despite these suspicions, the investigation faced many challenges. The Skakel family had powerful connections, and some people believed that their influence slowed down the investigation. For years, the case remained unsolved. The police didn't have enough evidence to charge anyone, and the mystery of Martha's death grew colder with each passing year. The case haunted the Moxley family, especially Dorothy, who continued to push for justice for her daughter. It wasn't until the late 1990s, more than 20 years after Martha's death, that the case was reopened. Advances in forensic science and new interviews with witnesses finally gave the police the clues they needed. In 2000, Michael Skakel was arrested and charged with Martha Moxley's death. Michael had been 15 at the time of the incident, and many believed that he had been involved all along. The trial was filled with drama and media attention because of the Skakel family's connection to the Kennedys. In 2002, Michael was found guilty and sentenced to prison. For the Moxley family, this was a long-awaited moment of justice, but it didn't come without its challenges. Michael continued to claim he was innocent, and over the years, his legal team fought for his release. In 2013, after serving more than a decade in prison, Michael Skakel was granted a new trial due to mistakes made by his original lawyer. In 2018, the state of Connecticut decided not to retry him, meaning that Michael was officially a free man. This decision left many people wondering if the full truth about what happened to Martha Moxley would ever be known. For Martha's family, the case remains a painful memory. Dorothy Moxley, now in her 90s, still believes that justice was served, even though Michael is no longer in prison. The case of Martha Moxley has become one of the most famous unsolved mysteries in America, a story that continues to fascinate and haunt all who hear it.